Why are you watching this? I warned you. So here's a taste of what you're gonna get in this video. In this video, we will reveal 4 hidden characters, answer 3 penis questions, detail 2 Eiichiro Oda love letters, as well as finally discover the speed limit of the Okama Way, discover how Oda's obsession with one pop star changed the entire course of One Piece, and reveal Whitebeard's intimate fixation on a certain item. By which I mean something I can't say in the first 2 minutes of a video or it'll get demonetized. But this is all canon. There is something about Whitebeard that you probably didn't even notice, but once you do, you cannot unsee it. And like everything else in this video, it was confirmed as canon by the author himself. So as most seasoned fictional pirate enjoyers will know, Eiichiro Oda tells the story of One Piece through 2 mediums. One is the manga, and the other is the companion pieces to the manga, specifically the SBS question segments. In fact, I often complain that Oda tells far too much of the story in these companion pieces. But something you will have never heard about in any other video is the sheer amount of useless information that Oda dumps into these glorified story toilets. Whether you like it or not, you're gonna learn something today. And I promise that this knowledge will do nothing except take up valuable mental real estate that you could have used to house something useful. So this is your fault, and let's begin. In the SBS of Volume 19, Eiichiro Oda is posed a very serious question. Oda-sensei, I found something rather surprising about the delivery man on pages 117 to 118 of Volume 18. It says hard-boiled on his t-shirt, but on page 69, those are the same people, right? And his t-shirt says full-boiled. What's up with him? Tell me! Very well, I shall tell you. This guy's name is Mr. Mello, and he has a surprisingly detailed backstory. He was one of the Baroque Works billions who killed Mr. 11 after he was captured by Smoker. But Mr. Mello has a character arc to go on here which all started 4 years ago. He and his fellow billions were carting dance powder in Nanohana. The cart broke and then they ran like the assorted cowards they are. But very importantly, if you zoom in on his shirt, the kanji says half-boiled. Meanwhile, when he makes his reappearance 4 years later, it says full-boiled, or fledged in the Viz translation, and this is what is known as character development. Mr. Mello then makes the mistake of trying to capture Ace, and he destroys all of them with a fire fist, thus I suppose making him boiled over and completing his 4-year character arc. Congratulations, you now know Mr. Mello's full story arc. But as a result of knowing this, you've probably forgotten how to cook. But if not for these segments, we would never know about hidden gems like Mr. Mello, nor would we get to ask Oda questions such as, on Clahado's clothing, there's a symbol that looks like poop. Does it stand for poop, or does it have some other meaning? To which Oda just replied, it's poop. And along the same lines, what happened to the key Choo Choo swallowed in Volume 2? And what the reader is referring to here is Chapter 12, where Choo Choo swallows the key to Luffy's cage, assumedly as an act of retribution because Luffy poked him in the eyes. And just in case you've ever wondered what became of that key, well, it came out, shiny and brown. Of course, Oda isn't always accommodating when it comes to weird questions. In Volume 7, a reader asked, does Shanks like me? And Oda said, I don't care. And on that note, it's time for penis question number 1. Oda-sensei, since Luffy is a Gomu human, does that mean his penis can stretch too? I don't know why penis is in quotation marks, actually. But the answer is that yes, it can. Also, just in case you need it after some of these questions, this video is sponsored by BetterHelp, a platform designed to connect you with a licensed therapist, trained to listen and provide you with helpful, unbiased advice. I want to put this out there. Starting therapy is difficult. Finding the right therapist takes a lot of time. The right therapist might not be in your area, and even if they are, they might be booked up literally months in advance. But BetterHelp can match you to one of over 30,000 therapists in their network, with sessions available as phone calls, live chats, or even messaging, whatever works best for you at whatever time is most convenient for you. Which is great because I don't know about you, but I'm one of those people who really doesn't like face-to-face chats. It's a bit uncomfortable. But over 4 million people have used BetterHelp to start happy and healthier lives. And you can do the same through my link in the description. To get started, you fill out a questionnaire detailing your specific needs, and in most cases, you'll be matched with your therapist within 48 hours. And if the therapist you're matched with isn't quite the right fit, that's very common in therapy. But if that does happen, you can easily switch to another therapist at no additional cost, and also with no stressing about insurance or networks or anything. So if you think you might benefit from therapy, consider BetterHelp. And if you go through my link in the description, then you'll also receive 10% off your first month of BetterHelp. Thanks so much again to BetterHelp for supporting this channel. If you think you could benefit from it, then give BetterHelp a go and see if it's the right fit for you. But for now, it's back to you, me. I couldn't help but notice something. On page 137 of volume 15, the woman appears to have spring onions in her basket. 3 of them. But the same lady later appears on page 162. Is it me, or does she have a bunch more of them? If she's got so many, does it mean they're having roasted onions for dinner or onion stew? Just tell me what she was going to cook. So a truly fascinating discovery here. Drum Island, typically thought of as Chopper's Ark, actually has a spring onion or shallot depending on your you. It has a spring onion subplot that goes unnoticed by far too many people. And this woman in question is named Negikuma Maria, which basically translates as Spring Onion Bear Maria. She's 45 years old, born on November 14th, and her English voice actor is Wendy Powell, who also voices Miss Merry Christmas. So she's sort of like the go-to animal woman fusion voice. But what exactly is Negikuma Maria's endgame here? Well, whilst the Straw Hats and everyone else worked to free Drum Island from Warpole, according to Oda, Negikuma Maria was working in tandem to gather ingredients in order to bake a spring onion cake, which I'm sure went about as well as it sounds. As a bonus useless fact, in the 4Kids dub, Negikuma Maria was named Big Mama, which would have caused quite the confusing situation if Big Mom ever appeared, because that's 2 big mothers and that's too many. There can only be one. Question: if Luffy is 7,200 funky Gomu Gomus, does that mean that Sanji is about 8,500 funky Ero Eros? Answer: oh no, not at all. He can get at least 930 fairy tale Ero Eros. There is no context to this at all. You're not missing any information. That's just how this exchange went. Question: is there a mirror on Alvida's ship? The implication here being that Alvida has perhaps misjudged her attractiveness due to a lack of evidence. Answer: something tells me she doesn't have a mirror. And this absurdly obscure piece of information is referenced in the live action One Piece because the very first shot of Alvida is looking at herself in a full body mirror. Question: does Sanji-san like to say shit? Answer: no. He loves to say shit. Glad we clarified that. But from time to time, readers also have a wide variety of helpful suggestions for One Piece. You know, to take the pressure off Oda from being the sole creative all the time. Suggestions such as: Oda-sensei, I thought of a great move. 1. Luffy stretches out his arm. 2. Zoro cuts his arm off. 3. The arm shoots away. Note, the move can only be used twice. And speaking of combat, in the early days of One Piece, Oda actually used to get a lot of power scaling questions. And one of them was the classic flat out who's stronger, Zoro or Sanji? If Zoro and Sanji had a serious fight, who would win? Zoro beat Mr. One, so he's stronger, right? And now this right here was a bit of a tricky situation for Mr. Oda-san, who handled it with all of the poise and grace we've come to expect of him by claiming that he misheard the question as, if Zoro and Sanji had a dick fight, who would win? And then refuses to answer due to the uncouth nature of the question. However, this intentional misunderstanding is because the Japanese word for serious is gachinko. However, gachinko means dick, and Japanese is a very, very dick language, which might explain all of the questions such as, can Buggy split his down there? And the answer is yes, he can. And now for a segment I like to call Weird Letters to Eiichiro Oda. How are ya, Odachi? I know how much you must like getting butt naked, so this must be a favorite season for you. Yes. I just love getting completely naked. In the summertime, after I take a bath, I just run straight outside. And when the girls' softball team running, this is such a weird letter. And when the girls' softball team running on the sidewalk looks over at me, they say, yep, it's really summer now. Heartwarming. That is a genuine letter that a fan sent Oda, and Oda proceeded to publish in volume 25 of the second highest selling comic book in human history. Good stuff. These letters often do get a bit weirdly personal though. I have a secret question to discuss with you, Master Oda. Brackets, this is a normal letter. Closed brackets. That's good to know. Please times 10 tell me your home address. I hope this finds you in good health. Seems like a perfectly reasonable request. Although I don't know how Oda's love wife would feel about this because we've also had a letter from her as well. Welcome home, my love. Would you like dinner? Or take a bath? Or maybe you'd rather have... And that's where this letter ends, signed from Love Wife 2. We have yet to hear from Love Wife 1. She seems much less inclined to publicly disclose her details in One Piece volumes. But also, aliens. Salutations, I am an Earthlian. And then there's a little asterisk asterisk there, which defines an Earthlian as a half Earthling, half alien. I am an Earthlian who lives in the same house that Usopp's father Yasop's friend's brother's girlfriend lived in a long time ago. And Oda actually responds to this one, but he just says, wow. So there's a lot of these, but there is one letter that was very revealing, and it tells us something about Oda that would go on to greatly influence One Piece. And this time, I'm not joking, this is actually relevant, sort of. To Odachi, I am your betrothed. When are we going to be married? Should it be November 1st? We're going to kiss in the marriage ceremony, right? I'm so nervous, kiss. Actually, I'm Nami Amoro's little sister. Now that is the last line that we're concerned with, because Nami Amuro is a name that you might be familiar with if you've watched the One Piece anime. So firstly, this letter was sent in 1999. Not only that, it was actually sent before the anime had even begun airing, which is interesting because Nami Amuro would go on to sing the openings Fight Together and Hope in 2011 and 2017 respectively. And also she had a special track called Black Makeup for the One Piece TV special Adventure of Nebulandia, which is the one where Foxy briefly joins the Straw Hats. But Nami Amuro also had a special animation featuring her interacting with the Straw Hats. All of this is to say that I think that Eiichiro Oda might have had a bit of a thing for Nami Amuro, which may have been known by readers, hence this letter trying to entice Oda by claiming to be Nami Amuro's little sister. Now, one really fun challenge Oda undertook was when he was asked to draw all of the characters with his left hand, which resulted in this Nami, Zoro, and Luffy, which at the time of this recording is live-action actress Emily Rudd's Twitter profile picture. But having gotten a taste of delicious power, readers soon thoroughly abused Oda's hospitality. Shortly after, Oda was asked to draw all of the characters with his foot, which resulted in this. Guess which character that is. And this also proved so popular that Oda was then asked to draw the characters with his mouth, which actually isn't bad at all. I think that worked out much better than the foot. Also, in the early days of SBS segments, readers basically dumped their chores on Oda. For example, there was a student who needed to make a class schedule, and then Oda just went and made a class schedule for him. And when alerted to the fact that this schedule wouldn't work for all schools, Oda said to send him the specifics and he would adjust it as necessary. And sometimes you can really feel the passion in Oda's answers, because sometimes he goes absolutely above and beyond to explain incredibly minor details about his world. When someone asked what the pistols in One Piece are called, not only did Oda reveal their names, but he even drew a detailed diagram of exactly how a flintlock pistol functions, like a textbook. But then again, sometimes people also write in to just complain. I just want to say this to Mr. 8. You're a disgrace to the saxophone. What's with that posture? Your embouchure is pathetic. And at least wear a strap. Think about what I said. Now go. Sometimes the SBS is kind of like the YouTube comment section before YouTube existed. Then again, in volume 23, another hidden gem is unlocked. It was noticed that in chapter 206, Tashigi strikes down a man who has I Love Miss Valentine on the back of his jacket. According to Oda, this is because Baroque Works has over 2,000 members, as well as a series of fan clubs dedicated to the upper numbered and named agents. Miss Valentine is only one. But to join a Baroque Works fan club, you need to send your name, age, and address to the Whiskey Peak AFC, Agent Fan Club headquarters, which you can't do that anymore because Zoro destroyed it. But we were not prepared for just how far down this particular rabbit hole we were about to go, because there's also a sub-question of how Baroque Works agents take vacations. Remembering that this organization has existed for like at least half a decade by the time we meet them, so it's a fully established corporate hierarchy with paid leave. Oda joked that Crocodile sends his employees to the Winter Festival in Hokkaido, but later corrected that he needs to book flights and vacations for each member separately, since no one agent is allowed to know who any of the others are except for your partner. So that's up to 2,000 individual holidays that Sir Crocodile is booking and managing per year for his criminal enterprise. What a solid CEO. This is why he's the management behind Cross Guild. But the Baroque Works curiosities continue. If Mr. 7 became Mr. 6, what would happen to his face? Another very important question, as Mr. 7's face is designed entirely around the number 7. His nose, his eyebrows, his shoes, and even the gun. The latter two I know aren't part of the face, let's forget about that. But his identity is glued to the number 7. So as a result, Oda was forced to draw Mr. 7 if he ever got a promotion to Mr. 6. Also, fun fact is most people do now know he was not the original Mr. 7. The original was killed by Zoro before the series began and made an appearance in live-action One Piece. But recently it was revealed that Oda actually made a full proper sketch of the original Mr. 7 to make it easier for production, which I think is really cool. Oda has also been asked on multiple occasions what species he is. The speculation has been published that Oda is a dog, an alien, and a hippo. In fact, one reader asked if Oda wanted to raise a hippo that the reader had found on the side of the road. Oda, however, declined this offer. Question. Hey, Oda-sensei, when Dr. Hiroluck got naked, why did there just so happen to be snow obscuring the view of his most special area? Answer. If it didn't just so happen to obscure the view, you'd see his weenie. That is the exact quote. Eiichiro Oda used the word weenie. And questions like this are, unsurprisingly, a bit of a trend. How is it that the spikes from Miss Doublefinger's Toge fruit can also grow from outside her body? Brackets, her clothes, that is. Answer. Huh? Are you referring to the fact that spikes would rip the clothes? If I did that, wouldn't this become an extraordinarily erotic manga? And if I did that, then I'd have to draw it that way on book covers. So then everyone would be super embarrassed when trying to buy it at the bookstore. You want that? And to answer Oda's question, yes, I do think the reader wants that. But let's talk about Whitebeard now. I made some big promises at the beginning of this video, and after this, you will not see him the same way again. A reader spotted something rather curious in chapter 234, which is the introduction of Whitebeard. However, around Whitebeard is what can only be described as a harem of nurses, all wearing leopard print tights. Standard hospital issue, I'm sure, but the reader essentially inquires as to whether the nurses in leopard tights is, how shall we say, Whitebeard's specific intimate trigger, to which Oda said yes. Whitebeard's wish/mandate was that all of his palliative care nurses were dressed like this. Oda also goes on to add, I hear that there are more hospitals where nurses wear pants. That's sad, I'm gonna cry now. And now for the question we've all been waiting for. What's the speed limit on the Okama Way? Well, according to Oda, the law states that if you go over 300 mascaras per hour, then you can expect to be musk-arrested. So I hope that you've gained absolutely nothing from this video. I warned you with the title and the thumbnail that you did not need to watch it. If you're still watching it, why? Let me know why. Because I have over 1,000 videos with actual One Piece information that you can and should know. But this video was just dedicated to the useless deluge that Oda floods these volumes with, things that I need to sift through to give you like the actual information. So I hope you've enjoyed it, a brief glimpse into my daily life.